Now, setting aside the politics, this is something that affects each one of us every day when we need money. And if there are questions that you had but didn't know who to ask, I have with me now Rajeev Dubey. He's Managing Editor Business for the TV Today Group. So let me begin by asking you, Rajeev, the basic question: why don't we have cash and why this sudden shortage?
Well, it was unusual, but it was definitely not sudden. If you look at it, unless we call a 2 to 3 week period as sudden, because it was definitely that long a period that the government had with it, unless we call a 25,000 crore spike in demand when as sudden, when you have 1,75,000 crore of reserves. So clearly it was unusual, yes, but it was definitely not sudden.
Why did the sudden spike happen?
So a lot of reasons are being attributed to it. One is the festive season. The other one is being given is that there was hoarding. The third one being given is that that there was that the election season does suck out cash from the economy. So all those reasons are being given.
But why doesn't it happen before every election?
It happens in every election. It should happen largely in those states which are going into elections. But this is a nationwide phenomena. So something is amiss. This is not just tallying up. Whatever has been said, sudden, unusual, something is amiss here.
So then would you agree with Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who says कि इतने करोड़ नोट जब छापे जा रहे हैं तो कौन उनको दबा रहा है? Is this a manufactured crisis?
No, not entirely. So Padmaja, there is enough evidence in the banking system that of the 6.7 lakh crore worth of 2,000 rupee notes, only about 75% of those have come back into the banking system. So 25% of those notes which were issued have actually never come back into the banking system. So you're talking of 1,50,000 crore or slightly more of 2,000 rupee notes which are not coming back. So there is clearly hoarding happening, but it's not happening. It definitely hasn't started happening today. It would have been happening since 2,000 rupee notes were issued, which was in November and December of 2016. So it's been happening over a period of time. So it's not sudden, nor is it.
So then why did the government fail to see the signs?
So clearly, it's definitely failed to see the signals, because banks themselves tell us that they have been writing to the RBI saying that for at least 2 weeks, they've been writing to the RBI saying that they are short of cash, please supply more cash. And now if the bank is saying that it had 1,75,000 crore of currency in reserve, there is no reason that the RBI couldn't get its act together and supply that currency to deficient areas. So this is what is just not explicable. You have 1,75,000 crore in reserves. Nationwide there's a shortage of currency, banks are writing to you, and you are not able to supply it for 14 weeks to 14 days to 21 days.
So there's no running away from the fact that there was mismanagement.
Absolutely, it probably underestimated the kind of crisis it's going to be.
Okay, so demand was not anticipated. By when will we get the money then, Rajeev?
So it's, banks are telling us that both in Delhi and Mumbai, we know of these two places, and these are two very big financial centers, Delhi NCR region and Mumbai. And both these places, banks are telling us that they are getting their daily requirement in about a week's time from the banks, from the RBI. So what they need on a daily basis, they are only getting in over a week span. So there is obviously a lot of shortage. 1/6 of the money is being supplied to the banking system in both Delhi and NCR as well as Mumbai region. So it seems that it's going to get worse for the next couple of days before it gets better. And our colleague Rahul was telling us that he believes that it's going to be taking at least a week's time, and definitely not the 2-3 days that the government is saying.
Oh dear. So finally, let me ask you, is it correct that given all these 2,000 rupee notes were being phased out, an alternative wasn't made available in time, and there are several ATMs across the country, especially in the smaller areas, which are not even calibrated right now for the 200 rupee notes?
Correct. About 20 to 25% of the ATMs, there are about 2 lakh ATMs in the country, and about that much have not been calibrated for 200 rupee notes. But in general, Padmaja, the government's directive has been that they want to move the economy towards smaller denomination notes so that there could be less hoarding of currency. That has been the general direction in which the government wants to take the economy. But it obviously doesn't seem to be working. If you have 1,60,000-70,000 crore of 2,000 rupee notes still hoarded, and you are trying to curtail the supply of 500 rupee notes and pushing more of 200 and 100 rupee notes, doesn't seem to be working on the ground. The ground reality is completely different. India is a cash economy. India requires a lot more cash, and our cash requirement is growing at 10% per annum. So, you know, if we are at 18 lakh crore in terms of currency in circulation today, in a year's time, it's going to be 20 lakh crore. So, this is why the government wants to curtail the supply of high denomination notes so that it can curtail the hoarding as well as black money that hoarding tends to generate.
Well, which is a great idea in principle. Then the conditions have to be created for that. For example, just giving the lower denomination notes in greater supply and having ATMs calibrated for that. So yes, mismanagement has happened, like Rajeev said, but all we can end by saying is, please do not hoard. There are people who genuinely need that cash. Hoarding that money will not serve any purpose. Unfortunately, next 1 week will be difficult. Thanks very much, Rajeev Dubey, for answering all these questions, which I'm sure are on all of our minds.